Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and you know what time it is. It is 8 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning. Well, it's 8 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning for some of you, but it is time for Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to sell effectively. I'm hanging out here with my partner, Mark Hunter. And Mark, having a good week?
Having a great week, and you're in Munich, Germany, so you're 7 hours ahead. You just got done with a massive bike ride, like you always do when you go on the road to speak. But hey, we got a great show. We're going to talk about how to close deals faster. Got a great question, book, and a lightning round.
You know, who doesn't want to close deals faster, right?
You bet.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
All right, this is Sales Logic. And you know, Mark and I come to you every week talking about our favorite subject, sales. And because the show is about you, our audience, we like to kick the show off with a question from you. So if you have a question, go to saleslogicpodcast.com, put it in there. We'll feature you right here on the show. We cover a hot topic. We recommend a book. And because we want you to leave with return on investment, we have a lightning round. So Mark, what is up for today?
What's on tap? We're going to be talking about how to close deals faster. The question comes from Ronnie in Tucson. It says, I have a very low closing ratio when compared to everyone else in my company. I push like crazy to get deals to close, but they never do. My boss has told me it has to improve or I'm going to be terminated. What am I doing wrong? Okay, so I threw that into the sales logic brain, came back with a number of things, but I'm going to just hone in on two of them. One of them is prospecting better. See, it's probably not a closing issue. It is a prospecting issue that you're not staying focused as to who you should be prospecting. And the second one that the brain brought up a number of issues, but understanding customer needs better. And of course, you can do that much better in the prospecting phase than any other element. Hey, Ronnie, I'm going to encourage you, join the Sales Logic Mastermind, because with that, you would have the entire role play tool, where you can literally go in and role play and really kind of see for yourself, what do I need to improve? But Mayor, I'm sure you've got some ideas. What should Ronnie be doing?
Well, first of all, Ronnie, I am so sorry that you are working for a manager who says you need to do better or you're going to be terminated, because your manager should be of help to you. So good idea reaching out here. I'm going to let Mark talk a little bit more about prospecting, because that really is where it begins. If you're not closing the deal, you may not be choosing the right prospect. But let me jump ahead a little bit. And first of all, I want you to take the last 10 deals you lost where you can't get it closed. And I want you to go get 2 or 3 other members of your team. And I want you to walk through those calls. And I want people to give you advice. And I want you to give yourself advice of what you think went well. What did you do right? What do you need to do more of around that? And the second is, what didn't go right? Listen to your own advice and other people. You might have done things like not ask the right questions, not questioned enough, not understood where they are in the buying cycle. You might not have been talking to this decision maker. There are so many reasons that the deals may not be closing, but the only way to really understand that is to analyze those last few deals to figure it out.
That is so spot on. And I'll tell you what, Ronnie, what you might be doing, and what a lot of salespeople do when they get into this, I'm not closing enough deals, they try to race every deal to the close. You got to slow down. There's a couple critical things that I love to challenge people in the prospecting phase. And that is understanding, what is the customer's timeline for making a decision? What is their real timeline? Because again, you may have uncovered a customer that has a need, but unfortunately, their timeline is 1 year or 2 out or 6 months out. Guess what? You're not going to close them today. The other piece is, are you really able to communicate the value and the risk? Now, here's the key thing about prospecting. In the prospecting phase is when you understand what is the critical need they have. This is so key, because if you do this in the prospecting phase, the customer's more relaxed and are going to share with you. Once you know that, then you can begin to paint the picture of the value they're going to receive from your solution, and two, the risk of not making a decision. Because again, Ronnie, what you're facing and every other salesperson faces, the number one obstacle we face is the customer making no decision, because we haven't done a good enough job of painting what is the risk, what is the value. And it goes all the way back up to that prospecting. Those are difficult questions, but you've got to be prepared to ask them early on.
Yeah, the other thing is, learn from the people on your team who are closing deals. I mean, what are they doing? Do their prospects look like your prospects? Is their questioning the same way that your questioning is? Is their follow-up the same way that your follow-up is? I mean, why reinvent the wheel? Why don't you just learn from people who have done a really good job of it and are already closing a lot of deals? And I don't know your sales manager, but I would take a stab at going back and asking him or her to kind of walk you through and get some advice on what you're doing well and what you're not doing well. If you're not closing a deal, you may not be choosing the right prospect, not getting to the decision maker. You may not be asking the right questions. You may not be listening enough. And I have seen salespeople blow deals over and over by the way they follow up. And if you don't follow up correctly, you will lose the deal.
That is so true. And this is the whole thing. I'm sure the other salespeople in your company who have a better close ratio, look at their metrics. What are they doing? And again, you can begin to benchmark yourself against them. If your boss is not willing to help you with that, okay, now we have a manager problem. And we got to do a whole separate episode on that. But I bet you there are some peers that can help you. And this, again, is what I really like about the members of the Sales Logic Mastermind, because they come into the mastermind calls, they share things like this. And with our one-on-one role play tool, it allows you to really role play, do these things. Because again, Ronnie, there's no reason for you not to be more successful. But I'm going to challenge, don't focus on the closing, focus on the opening. And with that opening, I'm going to question, and this, I see this a lot, salespeople who are desperate to close sales. And I don't know if Ronnie, if you're kind of grabbing anything and everything, but what it means is that you're taking any lead that comes in, any lead, no. Unless it lines up with your ICP, your ideal customer profile. We talk about that a lot on this show. You've got to stay absolutely tight, stay zeroed in on, because those are the people who you can help. And you're going to be able to share with them with confidence. You're going to ask them questions with confidence. You are going to be so much more spot on with them than anything else. Just don't take any lead just because it's a lead.
I wonder that too. I mean, I wonder if your sales leadership has given you your ideal customer profile. I have seen so many incredibly qualified salespeople struggle to close deals because they're focused on the wrong customer. And what I mean by that is that, you work in, I don't know what industry you're in. You figure like you're in commercial insurance. So you go out and you call on businesses. Well, you need to talk to the underwriters to figure out who's the ideal, what deal is going to close. So maybe you skip over your sales manager and talk to other people in the company and try to get a feel for who is the right fit.
That is so spot on, because again, there's so many opportunities out there. There are more than enough leads for anybody and everybody, but they're not all good leads. My whole goal is I want to be very, very tight so I can understand them better. And ultimately what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to get information out of them. And again, the critical piece of information I got to find early on. What's your timeline for making a decision? Do you have the budget? In other words, do you have the financial resources? And what does that come down to? What do those two things come down to? Is this one or two top priority to them? In other words, here's the deal. In today's economy, today's environment, companies are really only chasing after and really solving their top one or two priorities. And you may have a great solution. They may have a great need, but you know what? It's way down in the ranking. What I got to do is I got to go to their number one or number two priority. So in other words, what I have to find out early on, Does this line up with helping them solve their top 1 or 2 priorities? And if it doesn't, I got to challenge myself and say, you know what? Might be a great customer, might fit my ICP. Everything might line up, but you know what? They're just not going to pull the trigger because it's going to show up in the timeline because they're not going to make the decision.
Yeah. And, obviously you're closing some deals. So go back and figure out why you're closing those deals. How did you get those prospects? What was unique about those prospects? What kind of questions were you asking? What was their need or what was their pain point? And if your closing ratio is getting worse, then you need to look outside of the marketplace because something has changed for your customer. I just read a statistic the other day that said 85% of CEOs expect the disruption and change to become stronger in the next year, to become faster. And most feel like they can't keep up. So, and it's the external disruption that they're worried about. So they could be having something going on that you're not aware of that is disrupting the closing ratio. And you got to figure out what that is.
And that means talking to your existing customers, because again, your existing customers like you, they've done business with you, they find great value in what you provide. So tap into them for that information. But you know what? You can also tap into them? Tap into them for qualified leads. Tap into them for referrals. Ronnie, you may be in a race against time, and I want to help see you succeed. The easiest way it might be is to get additional business by way of your existing customers. And if nothing else, what this is going to do, this is going to help you understand better what's the value proposition. Because again, just as Mara shared, hey, a lot of external factors, things are changing out there. We don't always get that memo, but our customers do. Talk to them, ask them, because again, they're going to help share with you what is that critical insight information. Now, along with that though, hey, are there subject matter experts in your company that you could take along on some of these calls? Because again, what you may be having is you may be having an issue that you just aren't quite coming across with enough confidence. So maybe there's a subject matter expert who can join you on a call, who can help you out. And there's going to be 2 things. A, may very well help you close that deal. But 2, you get to go to school on them. You get to learn from them. I do this all the time. Anytime I can have other people with me on a sales call. I work with a lot of different industries, and I'm always amazed at what I come away learning every time there's a sales call. You got to be in this 24/7 continuous learning.
Yeah, I think you're giving such great advice. I mean, what about taking another really top salesperson out on a call with you and say, could you just kind of hang back, listen to me, and then after the call, give me some advice? Typically I find out when people are struggling with a closing ratio, it's one little thing. It reminds me of like my golf swing. I'll go out and I'll be playing amazing golf, and then all of a sudden I'm hitting every single drive off to the right. It makes me crazy. I go see my pro. In under 60 seconds, he fixes me because he notices the one little thing I'm doing wrong. So you probably want to go out and get coached like that and have somebody just listen to the sales call. And I'll tell you a quick story. Years ago, I had a teller who was working really, really hard to close, to try to get an investment referral. And she thought I was going to fire her. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to fire her. She's the best. She makes more calls than anybody I know. But she couldn't close a deal. So I got one of our best people in the office, best investment. He went and listened to her. He heard it in a second, what she was doing wrong. And rather than tell her, he said, listen to me do a call. And she listened to him. And then she did kind of what he did, but in her own thing. And she got an investment referral in a second. So I'm wondering if it's just a tiny little thing that's off in there that somebody could observe.
See, this comes down to who are you surrounding yourself with? You've got to surround yourself with people who are helping you along the way. And I'll tell you what, it's easy. It's easy. Your pride, your ego gets in the way. You're going to fix this. You don't want to go to them. Hey, you need to drop your pride, drop your ego, because at the end of the day, if you can't help more customers succeed, that's really going to damage your pride and ego. So you've got to take advantage of that. One of the things that I'm going to challenge Ronnie to do and everybody to do is look at each one of the steps in your sales process. We talked about this in last week. Do you need a sales process? Do you need a sales strategy? And you sure do. Because what you want to do is you want to break down the components. And kind of look at yourself and say, where am I skipping corners? Because there may very well be a corner that you're skipping. You're kind of assuming this. Assumption gets more salespeople into trouble. This is why I hone back in on prospecting. You don't come out of the prospecting phase until you have the customer fully qualified, period. Otherwise, you are just chasing, you are chasing the wind and you're never going to catch it.
So incredibly, so incredibly well said. The other thing I'm wondering too is that it is understanding. This is going to sound crazy because all we've talked about is giving you ideas on how to close the deal. But why don't you just forget about close? Why don't you just let it go and just literally sell from your heart and think about, I'm really, if you stop worrying about closing the deal, you would focus on helping people. And when you focus on helping people, you're going to find opportunity. It's like I always tell people that are looking for a job, don't ask people for a job, they'll give you advice. If you ask people for advice, you'll get a job. And it's kind of the same way in sales. If you go out with truly your heart out there and just think, all I want to do is sell, this isn't about me, you'll find a way to help people.
You are channeling our good friend Larry Levine and selling from the heart. And of course, his line, hey, you got commission breath, because again, you may be trying to go out there and close too much. It's amazing. This is where you got to come back and say, sales is just a conversation. It's just a conversation. And what you're doing is you're trying to get the customer to reveal more. And this is where trust and confidence comes into play, because trust is the foundation from which everything is built. But if I don't take the time early on to create trust, and this again comes back to, are you speeding through? Because again, you got commission breath, and you want to try to close the sale and you're speeding through. Slow it down. Listen to what Meredith said. If you need a job, go out and ask for advice, and suddenly people will give you a job. Go out and ask for a job and they'll give you advice. So spot on. It's just slowing down, relax, and knowing that you have the potential to be successful, because undoubtedly you have been successful up to this point because of the deals that you have closed. So don't sell yourself short, period.
Yeah, the last thing we want you to do is go out there and be fearful. If you go out and you're fearful, you're never going to close anything. The moment that you are wrapped up in your own head, and that's kind of where I'm a little worried you are right now, and understandably, because of the pressure that your manager is putting on you. That's a big threat. And you got to put that out of your head and just focus on doing the right thing.
Yeah, and that means don't channel your manager. Because if you're channeling your manager, you're in trouble. But what you want to do is you want to channel your success. And again, this comes back to very simple thing. If you know you can be successful, it is amazing at how much more successful you become. Nobody goes in. You just went out on a massive bike ride today, right? How many kilometers? Because again, kilometers always sounds more than miles. How many kilometers did you ride?
We rode 87 kilometers. Sounds so much better.
87 kilometers. Now think about that. If on kilometer 1, Meredith had said, you know what, not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
She would not have made 87. But instead she said, no, I can do this. We can do this. You went into it with absolute confidence. And Meredith rode 87 kilometers. It's what everybody goes to Germany to do, right? To get on a bike.
Right, exactly.
I love it. Hey, we're having a great conversation, but we got to keep the show moving along. Ready to talk about the book?
Yeah, let's talk about the book. What's up?
The book, Secrets of Closing the Sale by Zig Ziglar. Now, okay, this book came out years ago, but you know what? It's been updated. It's been updated just in the last 2 years. And I can't pronounce the doctor's. It was a doctor. So, wow, this is a PhD. Dr. Mafazi Ladkwala. And I'm butchering that. But I'll tell you what. Zig Ziglar's content, he passed away 10 or 11 years ago now, still absolutely valuable. This book, Secrets of Closing the Sale, get it. Because, again, it's going to walk you through the mindset to help you sell more successfully.
I haven't read it since it's been updated, but there's just certain books. That's what I love about sales, is that it's classic, right? I mean, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie's one of my favorites, written in the 1930s. Zig Ziglar put out some incredible books that everything about them is still relevant today. And Mark, I almost feel like it's more relevant today with the rise of AI. The importance of the human connection and the soft skills, it's just more valuable than ever.
Oh, I think that is so spot on, so true. Okay, lightning round. You ready?
I am.
10 ways to close more sales. Go.
Number one, choose your prospects so much better. Really, really get clear on your ideal customer profile.
2, qualify fast. Qualify those prospects fast so you don't spend time with people who can't buy from you.
Yeah. Number three, analyze why you're closing deals and why you're not closing deals.
Number 4, look at your existing customers. Go back to them, ask them for referrals, ask them for connections, ask them for additional business.
Number five, understand the pain point. Know the biggest pain point happening in the marketplace and what people will pay for.
Number 6, hone in on the questions you ask, because again, you can't learn anything when you're doing the talking. It's the questions you ask and what questions are resonating the most to get the customer to reveal what their issues are.
Number 7, if you want to close deals faster, get better at your follow-up system. Follow
No-
up, follow up, follow up.
Number 8, make it simple. Don't make the complex sale your entry sale. Land and expand. Keep it easy. Keep it easy. Get the customer in and expand from there.
That is such good advice. Number 9, if you want to close more deals faster, ask for referrals. A referral gives it 50 to 60% of the way there.
Number 10, make sure that you understand early on what's the timeline the customer has to make a decision. And is it one of their top 1 or 2 priorities? Because again, if it doesn't line up in those 2, you're wasting your time. Hey, great episode today. This is absolutely terrific. It's great talking with Meredith after she gets off riding 87 kilometers today in Munich. Love it. Anyway, hey, with that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show, because it's how we grow when we help you grow. And I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meredith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
all of this uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
Mark, one last thing I've got to say is if you want to understand how to choose prospects better, if you want to have better sales conversations, if you want to close deals faster, think about joining the Sales Logic Mastermind. We are a community dedicated to helping one another be more successful in the sales space.
And with so many tools out there to help you, between the AI brain, between the brain, the Intel engine, the one-on-one role play, all the other pieces out there, it's unbelievable. So, hey, great show. And Mare, I'll let you close it down.
All right. We'll see you right back here next week, 8 a.m. Eastern, for another episode of Sales Logic.